When people see me lift at a competition, what they don't see is the past. This came from a place of weakness and not strength, where I was in decline and finding myself no longer able to do some of the things that I wanted to do before, dealing with pain that I hadn't dealt with before. I was super skinny. I'm 5'11" and I weighed about 135 pounds, and my focus had been to try not to get fat. And I was very successful at that, but I didn't really look into the other aspects of my health, including how much muscle mass you're going to lose as you age and those types of things. And I found myself in my late 20s, suddenly certain tasks that had been easy became difficult. Lifting up things that I didn't have to think about, I was actually having to try, and I was finding myself with more back pain and more aches in general. I was having more trouble with sleep and other things like that. And I'd always made the excuse that I couldn't really build muscle. I'd worked out and been in and out of the gym, but never paid attention to my diet. There'd never been any real structure to what I was doing in the gym. And so eventually had to take responsibility for that and look into, how does this work? I'm not the only person that's had trouble gaining muscle mass. I'm not the only person that's had trouble getting in shape. And so I had to sort of address each of those aspects in my life and take responsibility for them, rather than making the excuse that this is the way I am. And I found myself 7 months into training squatting 405 pounds for a single rep. And it was grindy and it was ugly, but I got it. And that was, instead of being the end goal, became a stepping stone into something far greater. Because consistency will yield results that are typically far beyond what you can imagine. I've squatted 677 pounds since that time and know that I'm good for more. These are numbers that I never would have envisioned, that I never thought were even remotely possible for someone like me. I was in a place where I was making progress in the gym, and some people were seeing that progress and coming to me with questions and seeing the results I was getting and wondering how they could get similar results. I was helping a lot of people sort of on the side and with their journey as much as I could. And eventually someone came to me that I'd helped numerous times, asking if I would coach them. And I said no. I told them to go to a couple other coaches that I had worked with in the past that were great coaches. And they went to those coaches, and those coaches turned them down and said, no, my roster's full, I can't take any people right now. And so after sort of asking me several times, I eventually caved and said yes, and sort of built the business from there. You can't serve properly if you're stuck in bed because your back is out, or you're just too tired and brain foggy all the time to carry out your responsibilities. Most people have never trained for a solid year in their life. So imagine what you can do when you eat well for a year and you train well for a year. Typically, I'm having people become stronger than they've ever been within a few months. And within 6 months, they're doing things they never thought possible. And they're hitting weights that they never thought that they could hit in their lives because they've never applied these principles. Often you'll be disappointed at the short-term results, but the long-term results will often astound you with consistency. If you apply discipline in one aspect of your life, it carries over, and you also become more capable. So certain stresses affect you less. Certain situations in life will affect you less. I certainly saw that with myself as I began to take charge of these things and just no longer feel poorly. If you walk around feeling like junk all the time, then your output's also going to be junk. Would you rather live another year in declining health and poor health and an incapability, or would you rather start now so that you can have that process going in the future? Your future self will be grateful for what your present self has done. High calling fitness, built for the everyday, ready for the extraordinary.